Ladies and gentlemen, today we are here to discuss an important and sensitive topic that affects relationships in our society. The dynamics between men and women, whether in romantic partnerships, friendships, or professional settings, are vast and complex. However, some behaviors can give us insight into the intentions of the people we interact with. In particular, we need to consider what happens when someone is being used by another. In this context, the focus will be on the relationship between men and women, and how certain behaviors can indicate whether a man is using a woman. While not all men exhibit these behaviors, it's crucial to understand these signs for healthy self-awareness and boundary setting. Let's delve into 5 distinct behaviors that may suggest a man is using a woman. The first red flag is when a man contacts a woman only when he needs something from her. This could be emotional support, financial assistance, or other material needs. He might not check in to see how she is doing or offer help in return. The relationship becomes one-sided, with the woman giving while the man takes. If the only time a man reaches out is when it's convenient for him, this shows a lack of genuine interest in the woman as a person. A man who is using a woman will often disregard her emotions when she expresses concern, discomfort, or asks for attention. He may dismiss her feelings or tell her she is overreacting. He might belittle her concerns or make her feel as though her emotions are insignificant. This behavior reflects a lack of empathy and the prioritization of his own needs over hers. Another telltale sign is when a man makes little or no effort in nurturing the relationship. A healthy relationship requires effort from both parties, whether through communication, time spent together, or gestures of love and care. A man who is using a woman will often show minimal interest in getting to know her better or improving the connection. His actions will be reserved for when it's advantageous to him. Men who are using women may often seek validation without giving it in return. They may constantly need compliments, admiration, and assurance, but fail to offer the same to the woman. They may see the relationship as a source of boosting their ego rather than as a partnership built on mutual support and respect. Lastly, emotional manipulation is a common tactic used by those who seek to exploit others. A man using a woman may employ guilt trips, play on her insecurities, or use flattery and promises of love to get what he wants. This manipulative behavior aims to control the woman's emotions and actions, ensuring that she remains dependent on him to meet her emotional needs. When a man contacts a woman only when he needs something from her, it speaks volumes about the true nature of the relationship. This behavior is one of the most significant signs that he may be using her. The relationship becomes transactional rather than reciprocal, with the man engaging only in a manner that serves his own needs or desires. It's a subtle yet powerful tactic that can go unnoticed at first, especially if the woman is deeply invested in the connection, but over time, the patterns become clear. Initially, a woman might think that the infrequent contact is simply due to busy schedules or misunderstandings. She may assume that when he reaches out, it's because he genuinely wants to connect or catch up. However, as time passes, she may notice that these moments of outreach are closely tied to his personal needs, whether they are emotional, financial, or physical. And he may reach out when he's feeling lonely, stressed, or in need of reassurance, but his communication rarely extends beyond that. In these instances, he doesn't prioritize her well-being, thoughts, or interests, only focusing on what he can gain from her at that particular moment. It's also worth noting that this type of behavior usually creates an imbalance in the relationship. The woman may be expected to provide support, whether in the form of advice, emotional comfort, or tangible help, but there is little to no effort made on his part to reciprocate. In a healthy relationship, both partners offer something meaningful to one another, whether it's kindness, attention, or care. However, in a relationship where one person is being used, the man may only show interest when it's convenient for him. He might call her when he needs someone to talk to, but won't check in during the times when she needs someone to listen. The imbalance becomes more apparent when the woman begins to recognize that his outreach is inconsistent, contingent solely on his needs. If she reaches out to him during her own times of need, he may fail to respond in kind. He may become distant, avoidant, or too busy to engage with her when she needs support, further confirming the transactional nature of the connection. This reinforces the idea that her value to him is directly linked to her ability to fulfill his needs, and not based on a genuine desire to be involved in her life. Such behavior can also reflect a lack of emotional investment on his part. Emotional connection requires more than just taking what one needs. It involves a give and take, an exchange that fosters a sense of partnership and mutual respect. If he only contacts her during moments when he is in need of something, he is effectively treating the relationship as an extension of his own personal convenience. His lack of emotional presence becomes a form of neglect, as he fails to engage with her on a deeper level or make an effort to understand her own feelings and desires. And they spend more time together doing their things than she spends with him. In addition, this behavior can also lead to feelings of frustration and resentment for the woman involved. Over time, she might feel as though her presence is only valued in times of crisis or difficulty, leading her to question her worth in the relationship. She may begin to feel like an accessory to his life, a support system that is only activated when needed, and this can erode her sense of self-worth. The support system, the relationship may start to feel draining, leaving her emotionally depleted and uncertain of her role. It becomes clear that his communication isn't about building a healthy relationship, but about meeting his own needs at her expense. The longer this pattern continues, the more it can negatively impact the woman's mental and emotional health. She might begin to wonder why she is continuously reaching out and offering support, only to be met with indifference or inconsistency when she herself is in need. She might even start questioning whether the man genuinely cares about her or if he is simply taking advantage of her kindness. These feelings can lead to confusion, self-doubt, and an overall sense of emotional imbalance. In conclusion, when a man contacts a woman only when he needs something, the underlying issue is often a lack of true investment in the relationship. The behavior suggests that he is more interested in taking rather than giving, creating an unhealthy dynamic that can cause harm to both parties involved. Recognizing this pattern is key for women to understand when they are being used, allowing them to set boundaries and take necessary steps to preserve their emotional well-being. When a man dismisses or ignores a woman's feelings, it is a clear indication that he may not be invested in the relationship or may be using her for his own benefit. Emotions are the foundation of any healthy relationship, and when one partner consistently belittles or disregards the feelings of the other, it can signal that their connection is imbalanced and unhealthy. This behavior shows a lack of empathy and an unwillingness to engage with the woman on a deeper emotional level, highlighting the transactional nature of the relationship. A person who dismisses someone's feelings often downplays the importance of their emotions as though they are insignificant or unworthy of attention. For example, when a woman expresses concern, frustration, or hurt, a man who is using her might brush it off by saying things like, "You're being dramatic," or "It's not a big deal, you're overreacting." This behavior minimizes her emotional experience and invalidates her perspective. Instead of engaging with her feelings, he tries to make her feel as though her emotional response is exaggerated or unfounded. This is a tactic used to avoid accountability for his own actions, allowing him to continue his behavior without facing any consequences or taking responsibility. Furthermore, dismissing or ignoring her feelings may also manifest in a lack of active listening. When a woman shares her thoughts, emotions, or concerns, a man who is using her may show little interest in genuinely understanding her point of view. He may interrupt her, change the subject, or pretend to listen but not truly engage with what she is saying. This lack of active listening can make her feel invisible, as though her emotions are unimportant, or even worse, as though she herself is unimportant. Over time, this can cause a woman to feel isolated within the relationship, as if her needs and feelings are being ignored or disregarded. In addition to verbal dismissiveness, emotional neglect may also be expressed through actions. A man who is using a woman may fail to offer emotional support when she needs it most. For instance, when she is going through a difficult time or facing personal struggles, he may be absent or unresponsive, providing little to no comfort. This lack of emotional availability shows that he is not truly invested in her well-being. The consequences of this are immediate and ongoing. He may be present physically, but emotionally, he is checked out. This abandonment of her emotional needs is a form of neglect and manipulation, especially if he only seeks her out when he needs something or when it benefits him. Moreover, when a man consistently disregards or belittles a woman's emotions, it can lead to a pattern of self-doubt and confusion. The woman may start to question her own feelings, wondering if she is in fact overreacting or being unreasonable. This type of emotional manipulation can erode her self-confidence and make her second-guess herself, particularly if the man has convinced her that her emotions are irrational or invalid. As a result, she might begin to doubt her own worth and become more dependent on his validation, even though it is clear that he is not truly invested in her emotional well-being. It is the kind of blind spot that would create a myriad of problems, better described as a morality crisis, after a wide-ranging study. This dynamic also contributes to an unequal power balance in the relationship. When one person's emotions are consistently disregarded, it sets up a hierarchy where the man's needs and desires are prioritized over the woman's. The woman may feel like she has to tiptoe around her emotions, suppress her feelings, or avoid bringing up difficult topics out of fear that they will be dismissed or that the man will become upset. This creates an environment where she feels unable to fully express herself and may even start to lose touch with her own emotions in the process. Ronnie Taylor and I talked about the repeated experience of having her feelings dismissed or ignored can ultimately lead to emotional exhaustion. Over time, the woman may feel drained by the constant effort to get her feelings recognized and validated, but instead she faces indifference or condescension. The emotional toll of this behavior can leave her feeling unappreciated, undervalued, and disconnected. In the worst cases, this pattern can lead to a sense of emotional burnout, where the woman becomes emotionally numb or withdrawn, no longer trusting that her feelings will ever be taken seriously or treated with care. By dismissing or ignoring a woman's feelings, a man who is using her is not only demonstrating a lack of respect, but also contributing to the emotional manipulation and control that are often part of an unhealthy relationship dynamic. The woman's emotional needs are disregarded, and her sense of self-worth becomes increasingly tied to how the man perceives her, rather than her own inherent value as an individual. And such behavior is a clear indicator that the man is using the woman for his own needs without regard for her emotional health or the genuine connection that should exist in a loving relationship. When a man shows a lack of effort in the relationship, it reveals that he may not be fully invested in building a meaningful connection. Relationships require continuous nurturing, communication, and shared effort from both partners. A healthy relationship thrives on mutual investment, where both individuals contribute to creating a strong emotional bond. Francesco, however, when one partner fails to put in any genuine effort, it often indicates that they are only interested in the relationship when it serves their own purposes or needs. This behavior becomes especially problematic when the woman is the one putting in all the effort, while the man remains passive, detached, or indifferent. A key characteristic of a man who isn't truly committed to a woman is the noticeable lack of effort in sustaining and deepening the connection. For example, he may not initiate conversations, plan quality time together, or show any interest in learning more about her desires, dreams, or goals. In contrast, a man who values the relationship will make an effort to understand his partner, listen to her, and engage in meaningful conversations. He will make time to spend together, whether it's through planned dates, activities, or even simple moments of connection like texting throughout the day to check in. If a man is not putting in the effort to communicate or engage with her beyond surface-level interactions, it is a sign that his commitment may be superficial or non-existent. One way this lack of effort can manifest is in his failure to make plans. A man who is using a woman may expect her to always initiate plans while he remains passive or disinterested in doing so himself. He may wait for her to take the lead in making arrangements, whether it's for a casual meetup or something more significant, like a special event or trip. When he does make plans, it may be last minute or with little thought or consideration for her preferences. In this case, the relationship feels more like an afterthought than a priority. He may even expect a woman to constantly accommodate his schedule while offering little flexibility or compromise when it comes to hers. Moreover, a lack of effort is often accompanied by a lack of interest in her life outside of the relationship. When a man is truly invested in a woman, he will take an active interest in her passions, career, family, and personal growth. He will encourage her ambitions and support her endeavors. In contrast, when a man is only using her, he may never ask about her day or show genuine curiosity about her work or other activities. He may listen to her in a perfunctory way, offering only token responses, without showing any real desire to understand her world. This lack of emotional engagement makes it clear that he views the relationship as something that serves his own needs, rather than a partnership built on mutual respect and understanding. Another example of lack of effort can be seen in the absence of gestures of care and appreciation. In healthy relationships, small acts of kindness, like bringing her favorite snack, giving her a thoughtful compliment, or simply showing affection, go a long way in maintaining a loving connection. These gestures demonstrate that the man values and appreciates his partner. A man who is not putting in effort, however, will rarely, if ever, engage in such acts of kindness. Instead, he may expect the woman to always be the one to show appreciation or affection while offering little in return. Over time, this lack of effort can make the woman feel unimportant and unappreciated, as if she is the one constantly giving while he takes her for granted. Moreover, the lack of effort often extends to emotional support as well. When the woman is going through tough times, whether it's a personal struggle, work stress, or a family issue, a man who is truly invested will show up for her. He will offer a listening ear, provide comfort, and be present when she needs him most. On the other hand, a man who is not willing to put in the effort may distance himself or become emotionally unavailable. He may not recognize when she needs support, or worse, he may not even acknowledge her struggles. This emotional neglect can be particularly hurtful, as it shows a clear lack of care for her well-being. In relationships, it's not just about the big gestures, but also the consistent, small efforts that help build a strong bond over time. If the man only makes an effort when it's convenient for him or when he wants something, the woman will start to feel like she is investing more into the relationship than he is. This imbalance can cause resentment to grow, and she may begin to feel exhausted by the one-sided nature of the connection. It's draining to be in a relationship where you constantly give but receive little in return. Over time, this imbalance in effort can cause emotional fatigue and lead to the woman questioning the foundation of the relationship itself, and it's destructive in the end because she will feel broken from the experience or less attractive to her partner. She also begins to realize that the woman doesn't understand her sex truly and that there really is a way forward. The lack of effort is also a clear indication that the man is not prioritizing the relationship. A man who genuinely values his partner will make time and space for her, even when life gets busy. He will make her feel like a priority rather than an option or an afterthought. If the man is consistently neglecting to put in effort, it becomes evident that he is not emotionally invested in the future of the relationship. Psychologically, it can blind even the greatest mind in recognizing the relationship for what it is. Instead, he may be using her for convenience without considering the long-term implications or the need for mutual respect and care. And if he is respectful and loving and responsible with respect to his family, then why does he keep carrying around this selfish, greedy, childish, and from her perspective, vulgar insecurity? Ultimately, the lack of effort in a relationship is a sign that the man is not fully engaged or invested in the woman's happiness or the health of the relationship. It reflects a self-centered attitude where the woman's needs and desires are secondary to his own. This imbalance of effort and commitment is a crucial red flag, signaling that the relationship may not be as genuine or meaningful as it should be. A man who seeks constant validation while offering none in return is another clear indication that he may be using a woman rather than truly valuing her. In any healthy relationship, both partners should be able to support each other emotionally, offering reassurance, encouragement, and affection when needed. However, when one partner consistently demands validation from the other without reciprocating, it becomes a one-sided dynamic that can leave the woman feeling emotionally drained and unappreciated. This behavior reflects a deeper issue of self-centeredness and an inability to engage in an equitable emotional exchange. A man who constantly seeks validation from a woman is typically looking for approval or affirmation to boost his self-esteem or to feel better about himself. He might ask for compliments, reassurance, or attention to bolster his sense of worth. For example, he may frequently ask, "Do you think I'm attractive?" or "Am I doing a good job?" These requests are not necessarily rooted in genuine curiosity about the woman's opinion, but rather in a need for affirmation. The validation he seeks becomes a way to fill a void in his own self-esteem, and he relies on the woman to provide that emotional support. While occasional reassurance is normal in any relationship, the need for constant validation indicates insecurity and an unhealthy dependence on external sources to feel good about oneself. In a balanced and healthy relationship, both partners should be able to offer one another support and encouragement when needed. A woman, for instance, may seek reassurance from her partner in times of self-doubt, and the man would naturally provide that support. However, in a situation where a man is seeking constant validation, the emotional exchange is entirely unbalanced. He may never take the time to recognize or support her needs for emotional encouragement. This lack of reciprocity can lead the woman to feel as though she is continually giving while receiving little in return. Over time, this imbalance can lead to feelings of frustration, resentment, and emotional exhaustion. The behavior of constantly seeking validation without giving it back also reflects a lack of empathy and emotional intelligence. A man who is truly emotionally attuned to his partner will notice when she is feeling insecure or needs reassurance, and will be eager to offer that support. However, a man who is using a woman will focus only on his own needs and desires, showing little awareness or interest in her emotional state. He might fail to notice when she is upset or in need of validation herself, leaving her to struggle alone with her insecurities while he continues to demand attention. This lack of emotional reciprocity suggests that the relationship is not based on mutual care and respect, but rather on the man's desire to fulfill his own emotional needs at the expense of his partner's. Either the generous, supportive, and balancing stable partner's relation with her partners, or moreover, a man who constantly seeks validation may also manipulate situations to ensure that he gets the attention or praise he desires. He might exaggerate his achievements or downplay his flaws to elicit compliments and approval from the woman. For instance, he may tell her about his accomplishments in a way that implies he wants her to validate his success, rather than sharing the information out of a genuine desire to connect or share his life with her. This form of emotional manipulation can feel draining because the woman is left in a position where she is expected to constantly provide validation, often without the opportunity to express her own needs or desires. In some cases, the need for constant validation may be tied to a deeper issue of insecurity or low self-esteem. The man may rely on external sources, like the woman, to feel good about himself because he lacks the internal confidence necessary for self-assurance. This dynamic can be particularly damaging because it places an unfair burden on the woman to fix his emotional state by constantly validating him. It also creates a sense of emotional dependency, where the woman feels responsible for making the man feel good about himself, even at the expense of her own emotional needs. The impact of this behavior on the woman can be profound. Over time, the constant emotional labor required to provide validation can take a toll on her well-being. She may begin to feel like her worth is tied to how much she can affirm the man, and her own emotions may be pushed aside in the process. The more she feeds into his need for validation, the more she may lose touch with her own emotional needs and desires. She might feel like she is being used as a source of ego reinforcement, rather than being valued as an equal partner in a healthy, balanced relationship. Furthermore, this dynamic can lead to feelings of emotional imbalance and resentment. The woman may feel frustrated that her emotional needs are continually sidelined while the man's needs are always prioritized. The crash program essentially is relatively expensive, but it can provide closer and physical ties. The lack of emotional reciprocity can create a growing sense of dissatisfaction, as she begins to recognize that the relationship is not built on mutual respect and care, but rather on an unequal power dynamic, where her value is defined by how much she can give without receiving anything in return. In conclusion, when a man consistently seeks validation while offering none in return, it is a clear sign that the relationship is one-sided. This behavior reflects a lack of emotional investment and a reliance on the woman to provide constant affirmation to fill a void in his self-esteem. Over time, this imbalance can lead to emotional exhaustion, frustration, and a sense of being used, leaving the woman feeling unappreciated and disconnected from her partner. When a man becomes defensive or angry when confronted about his actions, it reveals a deep-seated issue within the relationship and is often a telltale sign that he is using the woman rather than engaging in a healthy, respectful partnership. Healthy relationships thrive on open communication, understanding, and accountability, where both partners are able to address concerns, express emotions, and work together to resolve conflicts. However, when one partner reacts defensively or with anger whenever their behavior is questioned, it can indicate manipulation, control, and a lack of emotional maturity. This type of response shows that the man is not willing to accept responsibility for his actions and may be more interested in maintaining his own agenda rather than nurturing a balanced, caring relationship. One of the most telling signs of a man who reacts defensively is when he immediately shifts blame or tries to deflect attention away from his own behavior. For example, if the woman expresses her discomfort or frustration about something he did, he might immediately counter with accusations such as, "Well, you always do this," or "You're just overreacting." Instead of listening to her concerns and addressing them directly, he chooses to turn the conversation around and make it about her flaws or mistakes. This defensive behavior prevents any productive conversation or resolution from taking place, leaving the woman feeling unheard and dismissed. It is a tactic often used to avoid taking responsibility for one's actions and to shift the focus away from the man's behavior. In more extreme cases, this defensiveness can turn into anger or aggression. A man who is unwilling to acknowledge his wrongdoing may become hostile or irritable when confronted. He may raise his voice, dismiss her feelings, or even accuse her of trying to manipulate or control him. This emotional outburst serves as a way to intimidate or silence her, discouraging her from bringing up important concerns in the future. Rather than addressing the problem at hand, he uses anger as a means of control, forcing her to back down and abandon her efforts to communicate. This creates an unhealthy dynamic where the woman feels like she cannot express her thoughts or feelings without fearing an explosive or dismissive reaction. Another key aspect of defensive behavior is a refusal to engage in self-reflection. A man who is emotionally mature and truly invested in the relationship will be open to feedback and willing to acknowledge his mistakes when they are pointed out. He may feel remorse and strive to improve his behavior in the future. However, when a man is using a woman, he typically lacks this self-awareness. He may view any criticism or confrontation as a personal attack rather than an opportunity for growth. Instead of reflecting on how his actions might have hurt her, he becomes entrenched in his own defensiveness, making it impossible to have an honest and productive conversation. This lack of self-awareness can lead to repeated cycles of unresolved conflict, where the same issues resurface without ever being properly addressed or dealt with. Moreover, this defensiveness and anger are often used as a means of controlling the situation. By making the woman feel guilty or fearful of further confrontation, the man establishes a power imbalance in the relationship. He discourages her from speaking up or asserting herself, knowing that any attempt to do so will result in an emotionally charged response. In this way, he manipulates her into remaining silent, avoiding difficult conversations, and suppressing her feelings. Over time, this behavior can leave the woman feeling emotionally stifled and powerless as she becomes increasingly hesitant to communicate her needs or concerns. The emotional impact of constantly dealing with defensiveness and anger is profound. The woman may begin to internalize the idea that her feelings are not valid or that she is somehow responsible for the man's anger. She might second-guess herself, wondering if she is truly overreacting or if her concerns are unjustified. This can erode her self-confidence and create a sense of confusion about the relationship. She may feel emotionally isolated, as though she is walking on eggshells, afraid that any attempt to express herself will result in conflict. This sense of fear and emotional suppression can lead to anxiety, stress, and even depression over time. Additionally, this pattern of defensiveness can create a toxic cycle where the woman becomes reluctant to bring up important issues and the man continues to act without accountability. The lack of open communication fosters a sense of distance between the partners as important conversations are left unspoken and unresolved. This emotional disconnect can leave the woman feeling neglected and unimportant, as though her feelings are never considered or addressed. In some cases, a man who reacts defensively may even gaslight the woman, denying that certain events took place or that she is exaggerating the situation. Gaslighting is a form of psychological manipulation where the manipulator causes the victim to doubt their own perceptions and reality. This tactic is especially damaging because it undermines the woman's sense of self-trust and reality, leaving her to question her own thoughts and feelings. It is a manipulative behavior often used by those who are only interested in maintaining control over the relationship and avoiding responsibility for their actions. Ultimately, when a man reacts with defensiveness or anger when confronted about his actions, it is a significant red flag. Instead of fostering a relationship built on mutual respect, understanding, and growth, his behavior suggests that he is more interested in controlling the dynamic and avoiding accountability. In the meantime, the negative emotions of shame and avoidant accountability will self-sabotage progress and even lead to a cycle of repeated. This not only creates an unhealthy and emotionally draining environment for the woman, but also stifles the possibility of building a deep, meaningful connection based on trust, communication, and mutual care. The woman may begin to feel trapped in a relationship where her voice is unheard and her feelings are invalidated, leading her to question her own worth and the future of the relationship itself. When a man is frequently inconsistent in his actions or words, it can be a clear indicator that he is using the woman for his own convenience rather than valuing her as an equal partner in a meaningful relationship. Consistency is a fundamental aspect of trust and stability in any relationship. When one partner constantly fluctuates in how they behave, what they say, or how they treat the other, it creates confusion and insecurity, leaving the woman feeling uncertain about her place in the relationship. Inconsistent behavior can make the woman feel emotionally unstable, as if she cannot rely on him for anything, which is not a foundation for a healthy, lasting connection. A man who is inconsistent in his actions may say one thing but do another. For instance, he may express his feelings of love or commitment, but his actions may not align with those words. He may promise to be there for her, but when it comes to showing up during moments of need, he is absent or unavailable. This disparity between words and actions sends mixed signals, causing the woman to question his sincerity. If a man truly cares for her, his actions should reflect the words he speaks. However, when his actions are inconsistent, it undermines trust and creates doubt. Over time, the woman may feel like she is left trying to decipher his true intentions and whether he is genuinely invested in the relationship or simply saying what he thinks will make her stay. Inconsistency can also be seen in how he prioritizes the relationship. One day he may show a great deal of interest, initiating conversations, making plans, and expressing his affection. The next day he may be distant, unresponsive, or neglectful. This back and forth behavior can be extremely confusing, especially for the woman, who may feel like she is caught in a constant emotional roller coaster. She may wonder if something has changed, if she did something wrong, or if he is losing interest. This uncertainty creates emotional turmoil and prevents her from feeling secure in the relationship. The unpredictability of his behavior makes it difficult to establish a strong emotional connection or to build any sense of long-term stability. One of the most damaging forms of inconsistency is the hot and cold behavior, where the man alternates between being extremely affectionate and attentive one moment and then distant or even cold the next. This can create an emotional push and pull, where the woman feels desired and valued one moment only to feel ignored or rejected the next. This inconsistency often leads to feelings of confusion, anxiety, and frustration. The woman may begin to question whether she is truly loved or if she is merely a temporary source of affection or attention for him. It can also make her feel like she is constantly trying to earn his attention or approval rather than receiving it freely as part of a balanced and healthy relationship. Furthermore, inconsistent behavior can undermine the woman's sense of self-worth. If she is continually receiving mixed messages from the man, she may start to internalize the belief that she is not deserving of consistent love, care, or respect. She might feel like she has to work harder to gain his attention, even when he is not putting in the same effort. This dynamic can lead her to feel unappreciated, undervalued, and even unsure of herself. She may find herself questioning her worth, wondering why he seems so inconsistent and why she is being treated this way. This emotional confusion can erode her confidence and prevent her from fully embracing the relationship or feeling secure in her own identity. In some cases, a man who is using a woman may exhibit inconsistency as a form of control. By keeping her uncertain about his intentions or feelings, he can keep her emotionally invested and engaged while not having to commit to anything serious. His inconsistency may make the woman constantly seek reassurance or validation from him, creating an emotional dependency. This dynamic can be a manipulation tactic where the man's unpredictability keeps the woman on edge, always seeking to win his approval or affection. The more she chases after his approval, the more control he has over her emotions. This creates an unhealthy, one-sided relationship where the man is free to take what he wants while the woman is left constantly questioning where she stands. Inconsistent behavior can also have a significant impact on the emotional health of the woman. It may lead to emotional exhaustion as she is forced to navigate through the highs and lows of his behavior. Over time, the emotional energy required to cope with this inconsistency can leave her feeling drained, overwhelmed, and uncertain about her future in the relationship. She may even start to feel like she is investing more emotionally than he is, leading to frustration and disappointment. The constant emotional fluctuation can also make it difficult for her to focus on other aspects of her life, as she may be consumed with trying to figure out where the relationship stands. Ultimately, inconsistency in a man's behavior is a significant red flag, especially when it is a recurring pattern. It suggests that he is not emotionally committed to the woman or the relationship, but rather may be using her for his own convenience or gratification. Relationships built on inconsistency lack the trust, security, and emotional foundation necessary for growth and fulfillment. When one partner's behavior is unpredictable and unreliable, it creates an environment of confusion and emotional instability. The woman may feel as though she is walking a fine line, never sure of where she stands or what to expect next. Over time, this can erode her sense of self-worth, her emotional well-being, and her ability to trust in the relationship. When a man withholds affection or love as a form of control, it is a clear indication that he may be using the woman rather than truly investing in a genuine relationship. Affection is an essential aspect of any romantic relationship, as it helps to create a sense of closeness, trust, and emotional security. Withholding affection, however, is often used as a manipulative tactic to maintain power and control within the relationship. This behavior can lead the woman to feel neglected, unloved, and emotionally starved, which can erode her sense of self-worth and destabilize her emotional well-being. In many cases, a man who withholds affection does so to assert dominance in the relationship. By denying the woman physical or emotional affection, he seeks to create a power imbalance, making her feel dependent on his approval and attention. He may deliberately withhold affection during moments when the woman expresses a need for emotional connection or intimacy, leaving her feeling rejected or unimportant. This form of emotional manipulation can cause the woman to feel confused, as she may wonder why her partner is being distant or unresponsive despite her efforts to connect. The more he withholds, the more she may find herself craving his affection, which can lead her to try harder to win back his attention and approval, further reinforcing his control over her emotions. Her social capital, Jeff, this is the most important social capital. Here is what this says. If you do not have the skills to control your emotions, this behavior is often seen in relationships where one partner is emotionally unavailable or unwilling to invest in the relationship fully. A man who is using a woman for his own needs may not be genuinely interested in fostering an emotional bond, and therefore he may withdraw affection when it is needed the most. In times of stress or emotional vulnerability, for example, he may become cold or distant, leaving the woman to deal with her feelings on her own. This, instead of offering comfort or support, he may create distance between them, causing her to feel isolated and unsupported. This lack of emotional availability can cause significant harm to the woman, as she may begin to feel like she is not worthy of love or affection. The withholding of affection can also be a tactic used by a man who is trying to punish the woman for expressing dissatisfaction or frustration with the relationship. If the woman confronts him about his behavior or expresses her concerns, he may retaliate by shutting down emotionally or physically. He may refuse to give her the affection or intimacy that she desires, using this as a form of punishment to show that he is displeased with her. This tactic forces the woman to earn affection or love by behaving in a way that meets his expectations, further perpetuating the power imbalance. The emotional manipulation involved can make the woman feel as though she is constantly walking on eggshells, never sure of when the affection will be withheld or when it will be given. The last aspect of human manipulation to consider here is the psychological forces that people use to manipulate and attract value from the buyer experience. Another example of withholding affection is when a man selectively offers attention and affection based on his own needs or desires, rather than out of genuine care for the woman. For instance, he may shower her with attention and affection when he wants something from her, whether it be sex, emotional support, or simply to maintain the status quo of the relationship. However, once his needs have been met, he may pull back, becoming distant and unavailable. This inconsistency in how he expresses affection creates a sense of uncertainty for the woman, who may begin to feel like she is only valued when he has something to gain. In these situations, the woman may feel more like an object or a tool to be used, rather than a partner in a loving, reciprocal relationship. Withholding affection can also be a means of emotional blackmail. The man may use his affection as a bargaining chip, giving it only when the woman meets certain conditions or behaves in a way that he finds acceptable. This creates an environment where the woman is constantly trying to meet his needs in order to receive affection in return, rather than feeling loved and appreciated for who she is. Over time, this transactional nature of affection can lead to feelings of resentment, as the woman may start to feel like she is not being truly loved, but rather used as a means to fulfill his desires. This type of behavior can be incredibly damaging to the woman's emotional health. She may begin to question her own worth, wondering if she is not deserving of love and affection unless she meets certain criteria. Her self-esteem may suffer as she internalizes the idea that she is only valued when she behaves in a way that pleases the man. The man is the natural leader and desires, and that lack of self-esteem may destroy marriages and families. Her self-esteem may destroy the lack of consistent emotional support and affection, can also leave her feeling emotionally isolated, as if her emotional needs are being ignored or rejected. Over time, this emotional neglect can lead to feelings of anxiety, depression, and even emotional numbness, as the woman may begin to shut down emotionally in response to the constant rejection or uncertainty. In some cases, the withholding of affection can create a cycle of emotional dependence, where the woman becomes increasingly reliant on the man's approval and attention. The more he withdraws affection, the more she may try to seek it, hoping that her efforts will result in a change. This cycle of emotional push and pull can be exhausting as the woman tries to navigate his unpredictable behavior while attempting to maintain her own sense of self. The longer this dynamic persists, the more difficult it can become for the woman to break free from the emotional manipulation and to regain her own emotional independence. Ultimately, when a man consistently withholds affection as a means of control, it reflects a lack of genuine care for the woman's emotional well-being. He is more concerned with maintaining power over her emotions than fostering a healthy, loving relationship. This kind of emotional manipulation can leave the woman feeling emotionally depleted, unappreciated, and uncertain about her place in the relationship. She felt uncertain about her place in the relationship. It prevents the growth of a deep emotional connection and can undermine her confidence, self-worth, and sense of security. Relationships should be based on mutual respect, care, and support, not on using affection as a tool for control or manipulation. There's no discrimination in words, in action, or thought. It is relational and transparent, and it takes time. A man who avoids any form of commitment or long-term plans is often signaling that he is using the woman rather than seeking a genuine, lasting partnership. Commitment is a cornerstone of any meaningful relationship, and it involves a shared understanding between partners about their future together, including their emotional, physical, and practical investment in the relationship. A man who consistently evades discussions about the future or avoids making any concrete commitments may be doing so because he has no intention of maintaining a long-term connection. This behavior can be incredibly confusing and frustrating for the woman, as she may feel as though she is putting in emotional energy and care into a relationship that has no future. One of the most glaring signs that a man is avoiding commitment is his reluctance to engage in conversations about the future of the relationship. Whenever the woman brings up topics such as moving in together, getting married, or even future plans for travel or career, he may immediately change the subject, shut down the conversation, or offer vague responses that lack substance. He might say things like, "I'm not ready to think about that yet," or "let's take it one step at a time," or oppose to his original challenge, which is the marriage, and somehow suggest that the time would be now to start planning our vision while avoiding making any real decisions. This deflection is often used as a way to prevent the woman from pushing for a deeper connection or clearer vision of where the relationship is headed. His avoidance of commitment keeps her in a state of uncertainty, unsure of whether he sees a future with her or if he is simply enjoying the present moment without any real investment in the long term. In addition to avoiding conversations about the future, a man who is using a woman will often avoid taking any actions that would indicate a deeper commitment. He may resist making any long-term plans that involve the two of them, such as taking a vacation together months down the road, moving in together, or even planning a future together beyond the immediate present. If the woman suggests making plans that would require a long-term commitment, he may become nonchalant or dismissive, suggesting that it's too soon or that there is no need to rush. This reluctance to make plans for the future reflects his lack of interest in creating a stable and secure foundation with her. Rather than investing in shared experiences that build a future, he is more interested in keeping the relationship in a state of ambiguity where he can walk away at any moment without the weight of responsibility or commitment. Moreover, the man who avoids commitment may show a distinct lack of interest in truly getting to know the woman on a deeper level. He may be comfortable with surface-level interactions, but when it comes to learning about her long-term goals, values, or desires, he may show little curiosity or effort. A committed partner takes an active interest in understanding their significant other, wanting to know what they envision for the future and how they can align their lives together. However, a man who is simply using the woman may avoid asking these kinds of questions or showing any real investment in her plans for the future. This lack of genuine interest in her as a person often reveals that he is not looking to build a life with her, but instead is simply enjoying the relationship for the short-term benefits it provides. In many cases, a man who avoids commitment may also be involved in other relationships or dating casually on the side. He may not want to make any commitment to the woman because he is keeping his options open or is unsure about fully investing in one person. This kind of behavior suggests that he is not serious about the relationship and is instead looking for a convenient connection that fulfills his immediate needs without any long-term obligations. He may avoid making any firm commitment, knowing that if he does, it would limit his ability to explore other options. This can leave the woman feeling disposable, as though she is just one of many options in his life rather than the priority in his emotional world. The avoidance of commitment also creates a significant emotional burden for the woman. She may find herself constantly questioning the future of the relationship, wondering whether the man is truly invested or whether he is simply enjoying the benefits of the connection without the responsibility that comes with a committed partnership. This uncertainty can lead to feelings of insecurity, self-doubt, and frustration, as she may feel that she is putting in emotional energy and effort without any guarantee of a stable or lasting relationship. The more the woman seeks answers about the future, the more she may feel like she is being strung along without receiving the clarity or commitment she deserves. Furthermore, a man who avoids commitment may engage in emotional distancing when the woman begins to show signs of wanting more from the relationship. If she expresses her desire for a deeper connection, such as discussing exclusivity or long-term goals, he may react by pulling away emotionally. He might become distant, less communicative, or even act as though her desire for commitment is unreasonable. This emotional withdrawal serves to discourage her from pushing for a deeper connection and reinforces his avoidance of any serious commitment. The woman may begin to feel that her needs for emotional closeness and security are not being met, and she may question whether the relationship is truly fulfilling or whether she is simply wasting her time. The lack of commitment in such relationships can also prevent the woman from being able to fully invest herself in the relationship, as she is constantly uncertain about whether her efforts will be reciprocated or whether the relationship will continue to develop. Without the security of commitment, she may hold back emotionally, afraid to fully open herself up or make plans for the future, because she is unsure whether the man will be there in the long run. So this creates a sense of emotional stagnation where both partners are unable to grow together in a meaningful way. Ultimately, the avoidance of commitment is one of the clearest signs that a man is using the woman rather than seeking to build a deep and meaningful relationship. It reflects a lack of genuine emotional investment and a reluctance to share a future together. For the woman, this behavior can be emotionally taxing, as she is left in a state of uncertainty and insecurity, unable to rely on the relationship to provide the stability, connection, and fulfillment she deserves. In conclusion, recognizing the signs that a man may be using a woman rather than genuinely investing in a relationship is crucial for maintaining one's emotional well-being and self-respect. When a man exhibits behaviors such as being overly controlling, inconsistent in his actions, withholding affection, or avoiding commitment, It is essential for the woman to understand these as red flags that point to a lack of genuine emotional investment. These behaviors create an unbalanced dynamic in the relationship, one where the woman may feel neglected, confused, and undervalued. A healthy relationship is built on mutual respect, trust, and a shared vision for the future. If a man is consistently demonstrating signs that he is using the woman for his own benefit, it is important for her to recognize her worth and take steps to protect her emotional health. By being aware of these behaviors, she can make informed decisions about whether to continue investing in the relationship or whether it is time to walk away in search of a partnership that offers the love, respect, and commitment she deserves. Relationships should be nurturing, reciprocal, and fulfilling for both parties involved, and no one should have to settle for anything less.